go. And so yes, obviously I am still teaching remote right now. I get my second shot next Friday. So my plan is to come back the Monday after that. If things go well. You know, I've heard a lot of people are getting sick from the second shot, so we'll see how it goes. But that's my plan. I'm super excited to actually come back soon and actually meet you guys. So that'll be cool. I'm not excited to have to walk down to the Project Lead the Way wing, but hey, that's right. I guess you guys have to too. So, so anyway, that's it. The people who are virtual, I will still set it up the same, where my plan is to still stream live. So, you know, whether I'm at home, whether I'm in the classroom, my plan is still to stream live. So you guys, if you're VLC right now, or VLA, whatever it's called. It's VLC. I think that's the movie player app. Either way, you guys still have the opportunity to watch live every day if you're at home. So chapter 9, we're going to start off by talking about quadratics. So 9.1 is identifying quadratic functions. Oh yeah, the lunch. That's what I was bringing it up for earlier. We have lunch at 12, no, that's the wrong schedule, 12:10. So I think we have 40 minutes before lunch and 30 minutes after lunch. So my plan is to try to give you guys the notes before lunch. And then if things work out well, you know, we can do notes before lunch and then after lunch be able to work on the homework. And during that time, I can help you guys out. So if things work well, that's going to be kind of a normal setup if it goes that way. The lunch schedule is kind of confusing to me. I haven't had B lunch yet this year, but so normally you get 30 minutes for lunch, but I believe they give you 15 minutes to make it to class after lunch. So we go to lunch at 12:10, but we don't start up again. Let's see here. I wrote it in Schoology. We don't start up again until 12:55. So you know, in essence, actually get 45 minutes for lunch. But I'll bring that up when we go to lunch too. Okay, so there's some different parts about identifying quadratic functions. And, you know, it can be presented to you differently. One way is if you're just given a bunch of numbers, and you might be asked if that would fit a quadratic function. So numbers can be presented to you different ways, and so that's kind of annoying. One way is you might be given them as like just a bunch of points. Okay, so I want to give it to you this way because this is probably the most difficult way to tell if something is quadratic. So if you're given points like this, and you're asked, is this a quadratic function? Oh, you know what? Didn't even mention this. You might remember this from a couple chapters ago. Quadratic is kind of a code word for squared. If you have a squared in an equation, that's what quadratic is. So that's what we're trying to figure out. These numbers I've written down are absolutely more obvious because you can kind of tell the second number is squared. What you're going to do is write the numbers like a table. So if the numbers are given to you in a table, then obviously that's easier. But if the numbers aren't given to you in a table, kind of write them in that format. And you don't have to write the actual table. First thing we need to check for is if the x values are evenly spaced. And these are just, I mean, it's super obvious when it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all one number apart. Okay? That means that we're able to look at all of the numbers if they're evenly spaced. So then we're going to look at the differences between the y's. So 0 to 1 is one number. 1 to 4, 3 numbers. 4 to 9 is 5 numbers. 9 to 16, 7. These are called the first differences. If all of these numbers were the same, this would be a linear function, like a straight line. But these obviously aren't all the same. So then the next thing we're going to look for is how far apart are these numbers. Oh, let me do a different color. I don't want to make it the same as the original. 1 to 3 is 2 numbers apart. 3 to 5, 2 numbers apart. 5 to 7, 2 numbers apart. These are called the second differences. If these are the same, which they are, then that would mean that this set of numbers is quadratic. So you guys might remember doing this first trimester. We did this first trimester when we were trying to tell or identify if something was linear. So first differences, if they're all the same number, it's linear. If the second set of numbers is all the same, it's quadratic. And so that's straightforward enough, and that's all you do. But the key thing, and I don't think you're going to be given any that aren't, is the x's have to be evenly spaced. So next year, I know a couple of you guys are taking Algebra 2 and Geometry in the same year. Algebra 2, you'll kind of be given these same questions, but the x's aren't evenly spaced, and so you have to kind of work around that. So in Algebra 2, you'll get these same questions, just a little more difficult. Okay, I think that's probably easy enough that I don't think you guys need to see more examples. If anybody wants me to do another example, I certainly can. Okay, now you're not always just going to have numbers. Sometimes you're going to have equations. So a quadratic equation can be written like this. Basically, if you can write an equation like this, as long as there's a number in place of a, it's quadratic. The b and c don't matter, to be honest. The only thing that matters is the ax squared, because the x squared is what makes it quadratic. So if I give you y plus 3x squared equals 4. If you're asked if it's quadratic, what we're going to try to do is make it look like the one up on top. And that's kind of your method of figuring out if it's quadratic. So the one up on top has y by itself. So you would subtract 3x squared. And we have a number on the x squared. So that's really all we were looking for. The a is going to be the number that's referred to on the x squared term. The b is the number that's on the x term. And then the c is the number that's by itself. But the a is the only one we are going to look at. Because there's a number in place of a, this is quadratic. Now, if you have powers other than 2, then it's not quadratic, like cubed. That'd be cubic. And I don't think you have any of those today. But, you know, this was a lot of writing, just not doing much. Like, these questions are usually very straightforward, but you have to know what to look for. And so it's definitely more writing than the work you're actually going to do. But if you guys get this written down in your notes, it's something that's going to be super easy for you to remember when we get to the tests and quizzes. And so that's kind of why I wanted to write out the notes with you today. I'm hoping you guys are actually doing this, writing out the notes. Because these questions will be super easy if you know what to look for. And if you don't know what to look for, then obviously they're not going to be easy. Okay. Because we started later today, we might not finish by 12:10, but we'll try. Okay, the next topic is graphing a quadratic function, which, I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know why you need to know how to do this, but the state says you do. So you're going to be asked to graph a quadratic function. You basically are just going to fill in a table. So let's say y equals 2x squared minus 1. You're going to make a table with 5 numbers. And we're going to center the numbers around 0. So we're going to go 2 on each side. And the only reason we're doing that is so that you can see the U shape from 5 points. It's hard to see the U shape from 3 points because you don't know if you're in the middle or not. So we usually only pick 5 just for that one reason. As a reminder, because I bet some of you guys haven't had math for 6 weeks, so you're probably really rusty in some of this. To fill out a table, you're going to put the x number in place of x. So y is 2x squared minus 1. So I'll go 0 first because that's by far the easiest. 0 is going to be 2 times 0 squared minus 1, which the answer is negative 1. So I'm going to put negative 1 in place of y. I'll do 1 next, again, because it's easy. 2 times 1 squared minus 1. So 2 times 1, 2, minus 1 would be 1. And it's not like the rest of them are hard, they're just bigger. 2 times 2 squared minus 1. So this is 2 times 4, which would be 8 minus 1, which is 7. If you could do them in your head, great. If you need to use a calculator, that's fine too. Just basically, do whatever you need to at this point. And then I will write in negative 1 and negative 2 here. And you get the same answers as the other ones. Okay, so that table is my points. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, I only needed to go to 2, but whatever. I do need to make sure to go up to 7. And I'll stop at 7. 1, 2, 3, and I'll pretty much just put the numbers I need on here. Okay, so my first point was at negative 2, 7. Negative 1, 1. 0, negative 1. 1, 1, 2, 7. So whenever you graph quadratics, they're not going to make a straight line. They're going to make a U shape. So I'll just kind of follow the points to make a U shape. Which, shouldn't be hard, but I always have a really hard time drawing them. So that would be this graph. The next thing you're going to be asked to find is the vertex. The tip of the U is called the vertex. I'm not going to call it the bottom of the U, because some of the U's you're going to get are going to be upside down. So they call it the vertex because it could be the top or the bottom. And that's going to be the next thing here. Come on, mouse, where are you? Oh, does anybody want this screen up yet? Before I scroll down. Yeah, I'll keep it up. I'm losing my voice today. I haven't had to talk for a week and a half. You got it, Ian? Okay. Which, let me scroll quick. I think this is the last topic. forgot one word. And this might be blatantly obvious for some of you. If it's the bottom, it's going to be called the minimum. The vertex is called the minimum. If it's the top of a U, upside down U, it's called a maximum. I mean, the vocabulary for minimum and maximum is no different than whenever you've ever used it. Minimum being the smallest, maximum being the biggest. So if it's at the bottom, it's called a minimum. If it's at the top, it's called a maximum. And that's just the vertex. And then the last topic, actually this will work out perfect. We'll be done right before lunch. A parabola is the name of the U-shape. So the parabola is like the technical name. So determining if a parabola opens up or down. A parabola opening up is a U. A parabola opening down is an upside down U. Go. You mean above it or to the left of it? Oh, like the minimum and maximum? Oh, okay. Basically, the very tip of a U. So, in this case, the bottom. It's just called the vertex. So for like this picture, the vertex is at 0, -1. So if it's a U shape, the bottom of the U is called the vertex. If it's the upside down U shape, the top of the U is called the vertex. It's just what they call, yeah, it's just what they call either the bottom or the top. Yep. But either way, I'm really glad you asked because I know a lot of you guys don't like speaking up in the classroom when it's super quiet like that. And I'm sure you guys will have an easier time asking questions when I'm there so that there's actually speaking going on. Absolutely always feel free to just ask a question at any time, or you guys can always type it in too. Okay, so the A number that we talked about at the very beginning of today, that basically tells you whether it's going to be a U or an upside down U. So if A is positive, it opens up, which would be a U shape. If A is negative, it opens down. It kind of looks like I'm writing like weird smileys and weird frowny faces. I suppose you guys aren't going to be sad that you don't have to hear my cat anymore when I come back in. Now, when I write the notes for you guys, I try to purposely use like correct words a lot of times. But do know, like, I'm not expecting you to call a U-shape a parabola, or, you know, I'm not expecting you to have to know facing up or facing down. It's just to make sure you guys are exposed to the correct words and terminologies. And if you learn them right away, that's great. And if you don't, it's not a huge deal. I'm never going to test you on terminology. The main reason for trying to teach a terminology is so it's easier to learn things. Okay, so let me put a couple examples up. I'll just write a handful of them and we'll just talk about if it opens up or down. No, I don't want to put that one first. I heard a beep, but I don't see a message. Oh. What the heck is that? Hand? You got a question, Sam? Or did you click it on accident? You're raising your hand a lot there, Sam. I don't really know what that means. Is Sam in the room? Is his mic not working right or something? Oh, all right. This should be good enough. I mean, this is all the different kinds. All we really care about is that it's written as y equals whatever. Because if it's written as y equals whatever, you just look at the number that's on the x squared. So like in this case, the 3. So a is 3. So it opens up. It's a U shape. On the second one, there's no b and c, but that doesn't matter. The a is the number on the x squared. So a is -2. So it's an upside down U. You know what? I can't unsee the smiley and frowny now. It's like an angry frown face. An angry emoticon. The third one isn't written as y equals. So we have to move things around so it is. Once you do that, the number that's on the x squared is a. It doesn't matter what order they're written. And this one turns out to be negative, so it's upside down. Does anybody have any kind of questions they want me to help you with? Oh, I almost forgot domain and range. I'll probably have to do that after lunch. Oh, go ahead. Oh, unmuted on accident. All right. But how are we... Oh, you don't know why your hand thing was going up and down, Sam? That's all right. I'm actually kind of glad you guys don't have touchscreen Chrome. That's all right. I'm actually really glad you guys don't have touchscreen Chromebooks. At first, I wanted you guys to have touchscreen Chromebooks so you could actually handwrite your notes. But then the more I thought about it, a lot of those really cheap touchscreens go bad after a while. And so then they have the ghost touches, like on the iPhones when you drop them. And so it basically clicks buttons all the time. Okay, well, this is the main everything for today. I have one topic that I'll show you guys after lunch yet. And you know what? We can probably even start writing it down. Unless you guys have hit your brain max for after spring break here for now. The homework shouldn't take you long today. And that's why I was thinking after lunch might be better for you. Do you guys have thoughts? Do you want me to start writing it now, or do you want me to wait until after lunch? You guys are the learners. I want your opinions. You don't have opinions, it looks like. Okay. All right, Haroon, you're the first one. Oh, look at that. Now I actually have multiple people. How about this? I'll start writing the title, and if you want to write everything after lunch, do it. If there are people that want to write it now, they can write it now. Yeah, go ahead. That's a good question. I was planning on shutting off my Google Meet during lunch. I guess I didn't really think about that one too much. I don't see any reason for you guys to leave it running over lunch. I don't know. It'll just kill your battery. Yeah, I suppose like I said, I haven't had a split lunch yet, so this is the first time we've had to worry about it with the Chromebooks. Okay, so if you guys are planning on writing everything after lunch, you're welcome to drop off the call, whenever you want. I'm not going to write down a ton of stuff now, but we start up again at, what did I say? 55. All right, I got the recording started back up. Just so you guys know, maybe every teacher does it differently type thing. But when I have split lunch, I do attendance before and after lunch. So if you guys don't come back from lunch, which, I don't know if some people are going to do that or not, but then you're marked absent for the day. So just as a heads up, I guess. So I put a couple words up right before lunch here, and I don't think many people wrote them down. So I'll kind of give you guys a second here. The last thing we're going to talk about is domain and range. And if you just have numbers, it's definitely a lot easier. So we're going to kind of talk about how to do domain and range from a picture. And we did domain and range earlier in the year with individual numbers. But let's talk about how to do it with. There we go. Let's make this one y equals x squared minus 3. So I'm not expecting you guys to be able to just graph these off the top of your head. And the questions you're going to be given are already graphed for you. So I just kind of want to do it this way with you so you can kind of see how it goes. So the minus 3 tells me that, actually I don't even need those. The minus 3 tells me that I'm going to have a U shape down at negative 3. And so that's what the picture would look like. And domain and range, normally we just kind of like look at the x's and look at the y's. And you can sort of do that from a picture. So if I ask about domain, I'm basically saying, where does this graph go left and right? Because it's the x's. Well, this arrow and this arrow means that my graph goes up forever and goes out forever. It's kind of like going at an angle. So what happens is every single x value has a point above or below it. So because those arrows are there, it goes everywhere. So the domain is all real numbers. And every parabola is going to have that. I spelled numbers wrong. Parabolas. So every single parabola, the domain for every one of them is going to be all real numbers. The range is what's going to be different on every picture. So the range, you're supposed to say, where does this graph go up and down? And if I kind of use my marker here, I can see that the graph doesn't go below negative 3. Like negative 3 is the lowest point, and then it goes every single height going straight up. So on this picture, the lowest point is negative 3, and then it goes everywhere upwards. So what I would say for the range is I would say the range is y is every number bigger than or equal to negative 3, because it goes up. If it was pointed down, I would say less than. Okay, again, you're going to be given the picture, so don't worry about graphing it. So I wanted to make sure to have an example for you of one that is a U-shape and one that is an upside down U-shape. Domain is going to be the same for every parabola, all real numbers. And that's because every single x number is used. The range, if I'm looking at this picture the arrows are pointing down, and the highest spot is 4. So that means the height, like every single height is covered up to 4. So my range would be y is less than or equal to 4. So if it's a right side up u, it's going to be a greater than. If it's an upside down u, it's less than. All right. So this is the end of the notes. Now, because you guys are back in school, the way I'm going to have to set this up is I need to have you guys keep your cameras on while you're in the classroom. And it's going to be annoying, but it's only going to be for this week and next. And then I'll just mute myself, so you're not going to have to listen to anything. You won't have to listen to my crappy old person music. But then feel free to do your homework. If you guys need help with anything, you can either speak up or you can type it in, whatever. On Google Meet, it's kind of annoying because it doesn't make any noises when you guys type messages. But I'll do my best to kind of keep a lookout for it. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of just do work in the background. You guys can do the same. But I do kind of expect you guys to come back on the computer after lunch, even if it's just work time. Because that's kind of how I have to do attendance. Oh, well, that's weird. Yeah, go ahead, Rocio. You could just speak up. Oh, did you click it on accident too? All right. Not a problem. The homework itself isn't very long. And honestly, my guess is it's going to take you 10, 15 minutes, something like that. So you guys shouldn't have an issue being done before you leave today. I saw a couple of people already turned it in. If you know what you're doing, that's fine. I would rather you guys not just sit there and do the assignment ahead of time and write down the answers from the back of the book or Slater or something. Like, it's not a good look for you. I'll put it that way. Because I saw there's 3 or 4 people that already turned in the homework today that just wrote the answers down. But I'd be happy to help you guys out. So take the rest of the hour to work, but leave your cameras on till the end of the hour.